well, a quick visit to my elderly parents just to check they're okay, and they're not too bad. My father is 94, blind and deaf, but he's getting along okay. He doesn't complain too much. First time I used this microphone in this helmet, and I have no idea if that's worked or not, to be honest. And there's plenty of wind noise in this crash helmet, and I'm thinking that maybe that's affecting the way that this microphone is working. But we'll find out when I get home and have a look at the video. I have to say, I love this crash helmet. It's a Biltwell Gringo S with the visor. It's the ECE approved one, the version, so it's a fairly new one, just about a year old. And I've got to say, I'm really pleased with it. It's very comfortable. And the reason I bought it is because I wanted something fairly simple. I didn't want these fancy visor systems because I'm getting on a bit, obviously. And what I remember from my old racing days when I used to race bikes, I always wore a Bellstar 2. And the Bellstar 2, in my opinion, was one of the greatest crash helmets ever made. It was a fantastic piece of kit. And this Biltwell Gringo S looks almost identical to the old Bellstar 2, and I don't think that's an accident. I think they've actually done that for the purpose. It's almost identical, it really is, and it's much nicer than the Bell Bullet, which is supposed to be the Bell retro helmet. This Gringo S is a much better looking helmet, and the visors are good quality and they're easy to use. Just one snap on the left hand side to close it and open it with a little thumb attachment, so you can just flick the visor up. And like I say, it's comfortable and it looks fantastic, so I'm really happy with it. I've got it in vintage white, which is again just about the same colour as the old Bellstar 2s were, and I'm very happy with that. The previous bike I had before I was riding this VN800 was a 1200 Sportster, and I absolutely love 1200 Sportsters. I think they're a really underrated bike. I think they're terrific. But there's one big problem for me with the 1200 Sportster. I've got a bit of a dodgy right hip, and no matter what I tried forward controls, cruise pegs and mid controls, just something about the riding position on the Sportster gives me a really bad right hip ache, and the pain, I'd only have to get about 15-20 miles and the pain would set in, and it would be a miserable journey from there on in. But I love the old 1200 Sports. They're great little bikes and plenty of power. But I remember from years back, I'm going back now over 20 years, I had one of these VN800s when they were fairly new, and I remember how comfortable it was, and I thought I'd give it another go, and I have to say it is very comfortable. I've put a Mustang Solo seat on it, and just got the standard footrests, and it really is a comfortable motorcycle. I can ride this for 100 miles without being in pain. You know, there's something just about the riding position that's really good for me. The one downside is it's a little heavier than a Sportster, and it's really, compared with my 1200, I had that set up absolutely beautifully. I had I rebuilt all the carbon, rejetted it, and had the right pipes and stuff on, and Screaming Eagle air cleaner, and I really did have that thing flying. It was a really very powerful 1200. A friend of mine had a 1200S, which is the twin plug head model, and my standard 1200 was as quick as that, and I really did have it set up beautifully. So this feels horribly underpowered after riding the 1200 Sportster, but it does for me. I mean, it'll run along at 70-75 quite comfortably. It's fairly torquey, it'll pull along alright. I mean, I'm no lightweight, probably with all the gear on, I weigh about 16 stone, so, and it pulls me along fine. I've got no complaints. It's an old one, it's 1996, early 96, one of the very first, and it's in tidy condition. It's only done about 15,000-16,000 miles from new, and I've tidied it up a lot. I mean, I've done a lot of work to it and changed the appearance of it considerably, and I'm very happy with it. It's a nice bike. It sounds good. I've actually fitted. Being a Sportster man, I mean, I've had several old 1200 Sportsters, all solid mount bikes. I'm not a fan of the rubber mount models. The build quality is far worse. The electrics are worse. They rust away. But the old solid mount bikes from '86 to 2003 were really good bikes. I mean, they're very reliable. And over the years, I've collected lots of spares for them. So I had a spare pair of 1200 mufflers, fairly standard mufflers from a 1200 Sportster. They have been modified a little. I've had a little bit taken out of the baffle, and I ran those on my last 1200 for a while. But the pipes on these things are so ugly, they look like a couple of sort of tulips or trumpets or something. They look horrible things. So I chopped them up, and I fit the Sportster silencers. You have to do a little bit of welding. You have to put a little bit of a collar on the standard front pipe. You cut them just behind the heat shields. Put a little collar on there to get the diameter right to fit the Sportster silencers over. And the rear one you fit upside down as to what it would be on the Sportster. You turn it upside down, and you can fabricate a little bracket to mount it to. The front one, the bracket on the Sportster silencer actually lines up pretty much perfectly with the original bracket on the frame that the stock VN800 pipes came from. So that's quite useful. And they do sound quite nice. I mean, you're not going to hear it today because of the wind, and I've got the microphone stuck in my crash helmet, but at some point next year when I ride this thing, I'll put the microphone behind me and you'll be able to hear the pipes. They do sound really good. They're not over loud, they just have a really nice rumble to them. I've also got the handlebars on this are from a 2006 Dynaglide anniversary, the 35th anniversary model. I think they're the same on all the Dynaglide customs. I think they call them Extreme Reach, and they're a little bit different to the standard VN800 bars. When I bought this one, it actually had Road King bars on it. They're big high A-banger things, and they didn't work at all well for me. But these bars are just right for me. And they're not expensive. I mean, I bought them brand new from a Harley dealer, these ones, and I think they're about £76, I think, all in all, which is not bad. I mean, you can pay well over £100 for a set of handlebars these days, so they're not too bad, considering they've got a Harley badge on them. I mean, in terms of the way this thing rides, it rides pretty much. I mean, I've ridden Dynaglides and Softails and things, and when you're actually just riding along, you can't really tell the difference. You look down and see the console and the big chrome headlamp, and it feels a bit like a Harley. But you know, the thing is, I love the old Harleys. The old 1340 Evo engine was a great engine, and I really liked them. The twin cam, of course, they had all the cam chain troubles and things, the tensioner troubles, so not quite so keen on them. And the build quality I don't think is as good as the old ones either. I'm certainly not loyal to any particular brand of motorcycle, that's for sure. I'll ride anything as long as I've got a wheel at each end, really, if it's good. And this is good, you know, it's okay. I suppose if I was going to say I was loyal to any particular bike, it would probably be the old British bikes, you know, Nortons, BSAs, the Meriden Triumphs. New Triumphs aren't too bad. I suppose they're good bikes, but you know, when you're an old traditionalist like me, a bit of an old dinosaur, you sort of look at them and think, well, they're trying to capitalise on what the original factory did, and at the beginning of the time they wanted to disown anything that the old factory did, but suddenly now they realise that it's a good selling point. Oh, we can make a Bonneville that looks like an old Bonneville. They're all over it, you know, they're all into the history, and all this Steve McQueen crap, you know, it just drives me crazy. So I'm not a great fan of the new Triumphs, although we did have a speed triple for a while, which was quite good. Oh, he's going to let me over. That's very nice of him, but thank you very much. Don't know why he did that, but there we are. Nearly home. In terms of other bikes I've been looking at lately, the Royal Enfield twins, the Interceptor and Continental GTs and things like that, they look really good. I'm impressed with them. I've had a couple of close-up looks. I haven't ridden one yet, but I really do like the look of them. I think they're going to be really good. So that would be one I'd certainly look at. And but this will do me for now, I guess, this thing. But here we are home.